Well, hello, everybody. How's your Wednesday going? I can't believe it's Wednesday already again. I don't know where the time goes. Hi, Kimberly. Hello, Em. How are you? You doing okay? Both of you? So it is good that she's doing okay. So, um, yep, we've had some rainy weather. It's rained for several days, so it's been wet. Kimberly's saying hi. Her channel's called Spouse Wife. You made any videos lately, Kimberly? Hi, Miss M. Catherine's here. Has it been raining in Arkansas? It's rained here. Um, of course, we've had a little cooler weather, which I'm happy for. I it got rather warm. Now it's kind of cooled off, so I'm glad. Hello, Mike. How are you doing? How's that boat? Can buy me a boat. Think of that song. Uh, oh, been a wildfire, Kimberly. I'm glad you're spared. Yeah. Mike saying hello to Miss M. Hello, Debbie Sue. How are you doing? You been hanging out on that porch swing? I love it when you sit out there and make a video. I love porch swings. So, um, gonna get some rain this weekend. Hi, Cheryl, Sister Cheryl. How have you been doing? So, the boat's a lot of fun. Y'all boats are a lot of fun. Catherine saying hello to everybody. Hello, Philip. How are you this evening? You doing okay? Over there in Australia. 47 dwellings lost in the fires. Wow. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Debbie Sue said, I was gone all day, so no porch swing today. Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah. Well, the weather should be starting to get nice enough that you can sit out there. So Philip says, doing really well. I'm glad. I'm really glad. So Miss Paula's here. I'll tell you what. Paula's out there rolling down the hills and videoing it. I was like, oh, I think I'm getting dizzy. So everyone's saying hello to each other. Yep. Paula said, yep. Did you get dizzy? My dog's snoring. Miss M, party can start. Miss Paula's here. That's right. Second childhood entered. Well, yeah, they say, as we get older, we do go into our second childhood. So Kimberly said our truck was parked in the evacuation zone and we just got it back after 2 days. Oh, wow. So Debbie Sue says hello to Miss M. Philip said hello to all the moderators. Bless you. Catherine. Hello, Mike. Miss M's. Hello, Debbie Sue. Everybody's greeting everybody, and I think most everybody knows everybody else. I don't know if all of y'all know Philip here. He's newer, but certainly welcomed. He lives in Australia, and he's great. He's a great kid. You're a kid to me, Philip. So's Miss M. Oh, goodness. Oh, when you get my age, everybody seems to be kind of a kid. So I've been tired. I've been really busy, and I get tired easier, which I think my age is showing. But I keep plugging along. That's part of the game. So, um, Anyway, I was going to talk about when life happens. And, maybe Kimberly needs to join me. It sounds like life has happened over there where she lives. So, and then, navigating the storms because, we all, if you live long enough, sooner or later, you're going to have to navigate a storm. And I'm not talking about, I live in Tornado Alley. People start talking about storms, and I'm thinking, is there a thunderstorm coming? So it is an awesome crowd tonight, Miss Paula. It's a great crowd. Just real grateful for my community. They're great. And, hi, Kelly. Kelly's joining us this evening. But, the navigating the storms, and I know that I can use the analogy of a thunderstorm. With today's technology and all the weather type things, they know it's coming, the storm, and it builds, and you can get on your phone and you can watch it, building up and when it's going to move through, and they can get that down to a fine art and almost know when the thunderstorm's going to hit. Now they can track tornadic activity. I've lived through a tornado. I've seen several tornadoes, but I lived here in 79 when the tornado came through here, and it was a mile wide, and it stayed on the ground for 60 miles, and it tore up just a big old swatch right through Wichita Falls. And so Catherine said, maybe that's why I have sinus pressure. Rain is coming. Yeah, you can feel it in the barometer. Philip said, I just joined the AA group for people who are addicted, Rhonda. So what are you addicted to? He retracted his message. That's a great thing, Philip. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Kelly said hi to everybody. Mike's saying hello to Kelly, the teacher Kelly tag. And, but, we have the warning, but often in life, when life gets lifey, we don't have a warning. They don't blow the whistles so you can get in the closet and hide. We do prepare for those storms, especially around here, it starts getting that time of year. And, you want to have some sort of battery operated radio and some flashlights and bottled water. And if you don't have a cellar, you want to find a freighty hole, and you get all prepared, and then you just go on and live life. And that's kind of how we can, prepare for when life happens, and for me, that is that, you're addicted to Rhonda. Okay, that's okay. So you're going to go to AA? Well, you're powerless over me. That's the first step. Oh, so, but, we can prepare for, life before it gets laughy, before it happens, and the way I prepare is through prayer and meditation. And, I try to improve my conscious contact with God. And I really, I don't know, a lot of y'all know Lori on Lori's Soul Circle. And I was just, she talked about prayer. Was that last week? I don't remember. And, it's so funny when you feel like you really know somebody, and they talk about some of the same things we talk about, that, we're on the same wavelength. And that kind of happened with Cheryl this week. I have a video coming out tomorrow, and I talk about forgiveness, and I filmed it last Friday, and she came out with a video that was very, very touching and very heartfelt. And if y'all haven't watched that, you go to her new channel. What's your new channel? 7 Minutes with Cheryl or something. So, you have to kind of prepare for life storms, because they usually happen suddenly. And 1 minute the sky's clear, and the next minute, the tornado's barreling down on you. So Miss M said, I'm going through a storm. It's dark and scary, and I'm afraid of myself. Yes, and it's a very hurtful place to be, Miss M, and we've all been there. I've been there. There's Cheryl's channel right there, 7 Minutes with Cheryl. And I know that it takes a lot, certainly. Just like with Cheryl, you get the phone call or the news or whatever, and it's an instant where your life is changed, and it can be forever changed. And I've certainly had those things happen, and to be able to navigate those, I'm grateful for a support group and friends and people that can walk with me through things. And it's very important to have that. That is your tornado preparation kit. But sometimes for me, it's hard for me to reach out to my friends, or it's hard for me to talk about what's going on. I have those one or two that I might talk to about, but I don't just broadcast. And sometimes I don't know if that's to my detriment, because, when you don't talk about what's going on, then you don't get the support you need. So Philip said, Miss, I'll keep you in my prayers. Darkness is where you find the light, because that's where it shines the best, because light conquers the darkness. That is so true, Philip. I think about, we're looking this up. I was with some friends. They were talking about, when life falls apart and you feel like you're broken, and there's a Japanese, I guess you would call it a thing they do. But if a pot gets broken, they take and they piece it back together with gold, and the broken pot becomes more precious, because in the broken pieces there's gold. And so I really like that analogy. So because it becomes something even more valuable. I think we get restored, and things, God restores us, and things that are restored are usually things that are worth a lot, like antiques, old classic cars. There's several things that people restore because they have a lot of value. And when God restores us, we have a lot of value. So Kelly said, Cheryl, just looked it up. Whoa to your first video. Can't wait to watch that. Couldn't imagine. That is so true, Kelly, and that she talked about it because her sharing her journey with that, I can't even imagine, will help other people. As Sim said, it's hard for me to reach out to friends because I don't want to be a burden. And I understand that. I think there's times that I have felt like that I'm going to be a burden, or that I don't want to bother them with my stuff, and it's that I didn't feel important enough. Not they'd come to me, and I would give them the time. I would help them or listen to them, but I learned that when I'm giving and listening and being of service to someone else, I'm in control. And whenever I go to someone else for help, I'm not in control. And it makes me scary. I'm not in control of what they might think. They might look at me different. They might, that sort of thing. And I had to get over myself enough to ask for help and to talk about what I'm going through and to voice that to someone else. That's how you navigate the storm. We are not meant to do this life alone. And you may have people, family members you're close to, that you certainly can't talk to them. And they're not really good people to talk to because they cannot be objective. And it's good to have some strong support from people that are going to love you no matter what, no matter what. And so, um, Catherine said, 100, Philip. Kimberly says, Philip, that is so true. So did Debbie Sue. Catherine said, Miss M, I get that, but if they are true friends, you wouldn't be a burden. They could need you someday. You know, and there's another part of that, Miss M, that I can be dealing with something and somebody can call me and tell me about what they're going through, and I'm talking to them and telling them things, and I hear the very thing I need to hear coming out of my mouth, and their call asking for help helps me. And that's kind of how that works. Um, and it's kind of amazing how that works. So, Miss M said, I know everyone here in this group has always said to me that they are there for me, but I'm afraid to reach out because I don't want to be a bother. Well, stop thinking about that. You're not a bother. You're not. And so, and Catherine, I don't know if you got my email. I've sent you a couple of emails. Um, so, you got my phone number. Won't you just you text me and tell me who you are, because I won't answer if I don't know the number. So, oh, Mrs. G is in the house. Child, how you doing? I watched your video on boundaries. It is spot on. It was excellent. Um, it was really good. So, okay, everyone's saying hello to Mrs. G. Says hello to M. Catherine said, I did. I almost reached out. Still may. Thanks. Please do. I encourage you to reach out. Philip said, Miss, you're not a bother. We love you and we want to see you find peace and love. Well, and Philip was going through some tests and was waiting on results, and he talked about it, and he reached out for prayer, and we all supported him, and he got good news, and we were glad, and that's what community is about. It's not all about just being able to give. You've got to be able to receive if you need to talk about something and need some help. So, and we all encourage you, but it's my friend Kristen that's on here sometimes. We joke about the 1,000-pound telephone. you need help, but it's like, this thing weighs 1,000 pounds because it's so hard. And, you think, well, Miss M says, I'm gonna call Rhonda, and then she can't. And I definitely understand that. I do understand that, to be able to reach out. Um, so, but it's so important. That's how we navigate the storms in our life. I'm sure that when Cheryl walked through that dark time with her daughter, she said her daughter got murdered. I can't even imagine. But sometimes things happen that you don't have any other choice but to receive, because you're not capable of anything else. But just, and I have definitely walked through. I had a friend that her daughter had died from brain cancer when she was 13 or 14. We were real close, and I walked through a really, really dark time, and she invited me to go to lunch, and we went to lunch. She said, I'm going to take you over here to this salad bar, and we're going to eat. And she told me later, she said, I know you probably wasn't eating because I didn't eat. And I had a friend that had been through a really grievous time, came over and took me to eat. And she said, she told me the same thing I'm telling you. You'll eat if you're in a restaurant with a friend. If I brought you food, you would need it, but if you go out and eat with me at a restaurant, you will eat some food. And so I thought that was I don't know, it was just very touching. And I remembered that, and I have done that for others, because you don't really realize that you're not eating, or that you don't care about you're just trying to navigate the storm. And it's um, so, but there are things to do while you're walking through something. Prayer. And I don't pray and ask God for things. I just thank Him like it's already happened, and go about my day. Another really good tool I use is, if this wasn't going on, what would I be doing? And I can pretty much answer that, and then go do that. What would I be doing? Well, I've been cleaning out my closet every day, about 15 minutes. I work on stuff, and go do that. So, had I've had several pretty rough days lately of something that happened, which spawned this topic. And, um, I had a really good friend, and her daughter was working here today, and she came through here, and she called and said, I cannot find a decent hotel. They're booked up. Can, you know, can I come stay with you? And I immediately said yes. And we had a great visit. I got to do something for somebody else and get outside of myself. And I think that's how God works in my life, to help me navigate life when life happens. And it happens, because I can get caught up in some self-centered fear. How is this going to affect me? And I get out of that self-centered fear when someone else calls me or comes to me for help. And I certainly had some of that yesterday, which helped me. And I think that that's some of the things. But I have used that little tool about, okay, if this wasn't going on, what would I be doing? And then I do that. And that keeps me on track. I this morning trying to decide if I was even going to do a live this evening. And that's the tool I used. What would I be doing if this wasn't going on? And then do that. So I scheduled it and I just didn't even think about it. And here I am. Mrs. G said, Rhonda, how is it that you always seem to be in my front yard? Your topics are always on point for me. I'm sure others feel the same way. Thank you so much. Debbie Sue said, that's great, Rhonda. You know, Mrs. G, I don't know that, but God does. And I know that so much of what I do on YouTube and what I talk about is God inspired because I ask Him for it. I thank Him for the inspired idea that I need today to do YouTube. And that's, you know, Paula said, I feel the same about Rhonda's topics. You know, we all deal with a lot of the same thing. And I say there's, you know, everyone has problems, and there's two kinds of people: those that talk about them and those that don't. And, you know, I don't have to be specific and tell you what I'm dealing with, just tell you that I'm dealing with something and I need y'all's prayers. And I continue to thank God like what the outcome has already happened, you know, and it's God inspired. Hey, Miss Sally, how are you this evening? Miss M says you always have the right topics for whatever I'm struggling with. Well, it's you know, she said I bottle everything up, and that's what I've done. You know, there's a saying, Miss M, that says you're only as sick as your secrets, and I think that when we bottle stuff up, we get sick, and not just mentally, but I think we get sick physically. Um, you know, if I'm unable to say uh, no, then you know my body's going to say no with illness, and that's sometimes I have to say no to myself. No, you're not going to bottle this up. No, you're not going to wallow in self pity. No, you're going to go, you're going to call somebody. And I did. I called somebody, talked about what I was going through. I got an assignment. So now I'm trying to do the assignment. But it was, but that's really, you know, Mrs. G said, thank you for the kind words about my video on boundaries. I think it was God inspired. No, I don't think so. Mrs. G, I know so. Child, I know so. Oh, Sally's asking Kelly how she is. Philip said, I was very blessed when they removed the lump in my leg that it wasn't cancerous, and I praise God for the blessing. Yes, Philip. Praise the Lord. That is some answered prayer. Kelly said, good. And you, Sally? Sally said, Philip, I still pray for you daily for healing. And Cheryl said, praise God, Philip. And you know, it's we just navigate the storms and let the rain fall and the winds blow. And I'm just going to put on my raincoat and button it up and go on about what I need to be doing. And I think that God, it's so funny. It seems like when things happen, when life gets lifey, I call it, and you're struggling with something that you're walking through, there's these miracles that happen, which I've had that happen. And it was, I don't know. I just know that there's there's some sort of opportunity in this thing that happened with me, and it's a small world because on Sunday I drove about an hour and a half south of here to a friend. Her mother died, and I went to her celebration of life, and her daughter was there, and I knew her and all of this, and we're sitting there, and I said something about her husband asked me, her daughter's husband asked me um, about where I was from. You always lived in Texas? And I said, no, I'm from Oklahoma. And they live in Oklahoma. And he said, where in Oklahoma? And I told him. And he said, well, my sister works at the tag office. And uh, I knew the minute he said it that I knew her, knew his sister and her husband. And I don't know. It's like, I'm in West Texas and met somebody I never met before. This friend of mine's daughter's husband, and we know the same people. How does that stuff happen? I don't know. And there's a backstory to all of that, but it was really kind of funny. So, um, Miss M said, "I'm gonna go in the shadows because there's someone in here needs to talk more than I do." So Sally said, Miss M, you are awesome. Cheryl said, Miss M, I love the worship on your channel. Praise and worship helps lift your spirit. Miss M said, yes, it does, Cheryl. Mrs. G said, Rhonda, why am I not seeing Sally and Philip in the chat? Are you using dual formats, horizontal and vertical? No, ma'am. You need to go up to the top chat, hit the button, then hit live, and you will see all the chats on here. Of course, Philip doesn't have a blue jacket. I'll make him a blue jacket. Okay, Philip, you got a blue jacket. Now, Cheryl's got a blue jacket with her other channel. Hey, Pack, you're new here. Haven't seen you here before. Welcome. You had to refresh? Ha ha. Call me RC. All right, RC, welcome in. I see your picture, some city. Where do you live? So, oh, you were here earlier this month? Seattle. Okay. Yeah. Well, you talk, Miss M. Don't let it eat you alive. You know you can call me. RC, I dropped some freestyle on Cynthia's channel. That's cool. Mrs. G said, Mike, hi, if you're still here. I don't know if they're double dipping. I know that RC said freestyle rap. So, Cynthia, are you talking about Senior Insight, Cynthia? If you've been rapping on Cynthia's channel, that would be quite the thing. Now, for me, that might not be so strange, but and who knows? Cynthia might like rap music, but freestyle rap, she might like it. 4 fake rap albums. How funny. When did you do that? Oh, Philip said, thank you, Rhonda. You're a blessing. I will do my best to honor you and your channel. You already have by being here. Just being you and being here. You know my tagline, be you on purpose. And anyone that just shows up and is being themselves. You were dumb bored. Weren't we all? Well, I wasn't. I was essential. I went to work every single day, didn't take any time off. Man, what a year. What a year. I worked in a treatment center for drugs and alcohol. I was the executive director of the whole center, and I was on point. Boy, was that whew, to be responsible and to try to keep people safe. And it was a hard time. It was a hard time. I've dealt with I call it Chicken Little syndrome, doom and gloom. I mean, catastrophizing, whatever you want to call it. The sky's falling. And I dreamed up I just could dream up some of the strangest things that I thought might happen in my life that never did. Not once, not one time did I ever imagine a global pandemic. I was like, hey, I don't know how I missed the boat on that one. Oh, so Mrs. G said, Cheryl, how often will you be posting on your new channel? I know I asked in a live, but I don't think I saw your response. RC said, no mercy for the oops, they defo gonna be dropped. Cheryl said, probably once a week, Mrs. G. Miss M said, it's weird grieving over a friendship that I had ended. That happens. That happens. You decide that it's might be best for you to step back from a friendship, and yes, you'll grieve it. I've done that, yeah, and it's not easy, but it you know sometimes we have to do that to protect ourselves. Thank you for the hearts. Philip said, I've never been drunk and I've never done drugs. I can understand the attraction to it because it's like a mystery to me. I want to discover, but I'm not going to do it. And that's a great attitude to have. Um, you know, um, Especially if you have history in your family of drug and alcohol use, then you are predisposed, just like if you have a history of diabetes in your family. And so Miss M said, I thought this person really cared about me, but really she didn't care. I'm sorry that happened to you, really. I'm sorry. And that is not about you, Miss M. That is about them. So RC said, M, that's who they really are. And that's right. They've showed you who they really are. It's not about you. Doesn't make it hurt any less. Does not negate the grief that you feel. Uh, and sometimes it's necessary. I made a decision, and I don't even remember when, decided that I was no longer going to be in any relationship, work, coworker, friend, you know, even romantic relationship that was one-sided or where I was not treated with respect. And I have stuck to that. And it's not been easy because I've had to walk away from some very important relationships. So Miss M said, maybe I thought I did something wrong. Well, sometimes we do, but if they're really your friend, they will come talk to you about it and make it right. I've had to do that. I've had to both ways. I've been the one that's acted like a horse's patootie and had to go apologize and make amends. And then I've also had to go talk to somebody about something they did that bothered me. And it's not easy. Phew. So RC said, you can't control that. They suck. Nah, well, people are people, and I don't know. I try not to judge people. I've done so much stuff that I have no room to judge anybody. So, RC said again, you can't control the outcome. And M, you made your bets, let the chips fall where they may. We are never in control. That is so true. The only thing I have control over is my behavior and my thoughts and my feelings. So Miss M said, but she hasn't come to me yet. But who cares? I'll be okay without her. This is true. And some people don't, or some people aren't capable. And when I think that, it's my expectations of what people should do, and they always get me in trouble. And sometimes they're not capable. And I'm going to the hardware store to buy bread. They don't have it there. So some people just don't have the capacity to do those type of things. So RC said, you don't need her. Kelly said, I hate when people just ghost and don't tell you. Yes, because you know what happens, Kelly? That happens, and then I make up a story in my head, and I am judging them by my experiences and how I think and feel, and it's never really right. And so, you know, and Sally said, "Me too, Kelly." So it's as hard as it is to call someone up and talk to them about stuff. I have had to do that. It always is better. And I may not can salvage the friendship, but it's always better for them and for me. So Miss M said, so I blocked her number. Okay. And that could be some self-care. Um, and it's sometimes we don't do anything wrong. It's something going on with the other person. So I just um, do the best I can and feel the feelings, talk to somebody, and time helps. Time helps. RC said. So RC said, if it makes you feel better, listen to My Eyes by Gimskin. It's in my post. So RC, do you have a channel? I'm supposing you do. So Kimberly said, Rhonda, you hit the nail on the head there. I've tried to be a friend to a person and just got in over my head. I had to back up and say, let's just keep it simple and sweet. And that's, like I said, it's hard. I prayed about it for several days, and I finally I thought, I can think this to death. I'm just gonna take care of it. I think I checked out your channel. I remember now. So Sally said, Kimberly, me too. But it sometimes the right thing to do is the hard thing to do. And some people are just not capable. And I have to remember that. And I say a whole lot. I think I said this in one of my recent videos. Change me, bless them. And so Philip said, I spent a lot of my time praying for God to put good people in my life, and I've been very blessed with many good, godly friends. That's great, Philip. That's great, Philip. Miss M, it wears you down. It does, Miss M. And that's why, the taking care of yourself is real important. And self-care is not going to get a pedicure, a manicure, a massage, or whatever. It's prayer, meditation, journaling, talking to somebody, getting help if you need it. Those type of things to me are the self-care, to set boundaries and to focus on what's going on with you and work on that, because I can't change anybody else, but I can change me. And, I can change my attitude. So RC said it's positive, really, nothing negative, lots of clowning around. Hey, that's fun. I tell you, laughter's the best medicine. Kimberly said, right, Sally, everyone can't help everyone. Yeah, Miss M, I have other things that is going on, but I don't want to trigger anyone. RC said, breathe, okay? We're here. Kimberly said, that's very thoughtful, Emily. So, well, and you know, it's like there's certain things you don't just want to put out publicly on social media. Then that's why you need those safe people to call and talk to. And that's and I think that I could understand how it would be hard for you if you've had this friend that you thought was your friend, but you found out they weren't. And I don't know, the particulars, but it's hard then to trust somebody. So Mrs. G said, Rhonda, you're a great counselor. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. G. Miss M said, but if anyone wants my email or number, go over to my channel. RC said, I'll be praying for you. Kelly said, praying for you, Miss M. And we all do, there's several on here that I pray for. I have a little list over here, and I pray for these names. So, hi, Sally. Sorry I didn't say hello earlier, Miss M. She was always complaining about everything, and she rarely asked how I was doing. Yeah. Yeah. I've had friends like that. So, not anymore. I don't know that I have any friends like that anymore. You gradually, as you set boundaries and your friend group, it might get smaller for a little while, but it's, what is it? Quality over quantity. And, I have a handful of just great friends. I can't even begin to, and some of them are on here. There's some people on here that I know if my rear end was falling off, I could call and they would listen to me. So, Philip said, it's always good to have some people in your life that you can give you a good kick in the butt when you need it. I love friends who can speak the truth. And that right there, Philip, those are the true friends. The ones that will tell you to, girl, get up off of your pity pot and go wash your face. Miss G. Not that Miss G would tell me that, but that's my Miss G voice. Ciao. Ciao. Oh, I've had a lot of really good friends that have, spoke the truth. And those are the ones that I'm talking about. They'll call me on my crap, I call it. So what's everybody going to be doing this weekend? I have nothing planned, and I'm really excited about that. Because last weekend I was gone all day on Sunday, and I was exhausted. And it takes me, when you get my age, one little day trip, and you're wore out for 2 or 3 days. So Miss M said, I'm just gonna hang out. RC, I don't know, driving my new car. What kind of new car did you get, RC? I'm about ready to drag my RV out and go camping. It's the weather's getting about nice enough. Toyota 2026 Toyota Corolla. Nice. Congratulations. So I wish, Kimberly's going to the Crawfish Festival. Whoop, whoop. That sounds fun. Miss M saying, Mrs. G, RCC said, I wish it was a AMG Benz or BMW. You know what? My husband got a BMW. He just thought he was hot snot and all that. He ended up hating that car and traded it in. So that was our experience. I drive a Honda Accord. Hot snot. Yeah, that's it. He thought he was hot snot. Oh, what is it? You think you're hot snot on a silver platter and you're just a bunch of boogers on a paper plate. Huh? How's that? That's one of them childhood things. I had brothers, and so we had all that little kind of sayings that, my brothers, I would tell them that. So I guess you never know. It's like Debbie Sue saying she was shocked out of her gourd, and every time she says it, I just crack up. I just think that's phenomenal. Oh, Kimberly said, I don't eat those mud bugs, but Robert loves them. So, anyway, Mrs. G said, Miss M, that's what I would say. LOL. So, it is getting late. I am tired, and I'm thinking maybe I should get off of here before I just completely stick my whole foot in my mouth. So that's not a good thought, Miss M. So, Philip said, I can't get lobster and crawfish out of my mind. I'm hungry now. I really like lobster, but the crawfish they can keep. Oh, it's okay. Is it morning time for you, Philip? Miss M says, I might just go off into the sunset. RC said, don't give up. Mrs. G said, why would you think that, Miss M? Miss M said, bye, everyone. So is it like, I'm trying to think of, Dora and her lives, and when I watch them. Philip said, bless everyone. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Miss Rhonda. You're very welcome, Philip. Thank you for being here. I think that I'm going to probably end this live, and I'm going to relax. 10:53 a.m. Yeah. I thought maybe it was sometime in the morning. Debbie Sue said, take care, Rhonda and everyone. So everyone do take care of yourselves and navigate those storms. And, if you need someone to talk to, my email's in the description. And just put one foot in front of the other, breathe in, breathe out, and stay connected to God. And I will see y'all. And just remember to be you on purpose. Bye.